morning, everyone. My name is Alicia Udaskin, and I'm a director here at JVS, Jewish Vocational Service, and we're located in East Orange and in Montclair, New Jersey. So I always start the webinars by telling you a little bit about JVS. JVS was founded in 1939, and basically what we do is we help people overcome obstacles that they encounter, regardless of what the obstacles are, in terms of finding employment and finding jobs and getting back on their feet. Our JVS Job Seekers program, which this is part of, these webinars, are fully funded by the Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West and by Project M, and thus they are free to attend. And we thank them so much for funding our program. This morning, I am really excited to welcome our guest speaker, Holly Adams. Holly is the founder of Aha Learning Moments, a learning and development company that wants to spark aha moments in others as they grow their talents and skills. With over 15 years of training experience, Holly specializes in instructional design, curriculum development, and creating micro-learning videos. She partners with professionals to offer comprehensive learning solutions to meet a wide range of client needs. This morning, Holly is going to share her wisdom and take us through a very interactive presentation of ChatGPT and AI tools to help you strengthen your resume and your cover letters. So I'd like to welcome Holly. Over to you.
Hey, everyone. So glad you could join us today. I hope you find and get a lot of value or some tips out of this. That's why I named my business Aha Learning Moments, is I love those aha moments that we have when we're in training, and always want to have some good takeaways from sessions that we conduct. So like Elisa said today, I'm going to be taking you through a PowerPoint presentation, but we're going to be stepping away from that to go into ChatGPT so you can actually see it at work to help you with your job transition. So whether that's resumes or cover letters, we're going to touch on both of those today. So I'm going to jump in and start sharing my screen with you. And we're going to go into the PowerPoint. Okay, so our objectives today, just talking about different artificial intelligence applications, not just ChatGPT, but others that you could potentially use, plus what they call resume builders, which use AI to help you build your resume and cover letters. So we'll touch on that. And then also just suggestions to improve your resume using artificial intelligence. And then also extending that even further to writing cover letters and help you create some efficiencies in writing those cover letters using AI. And of course, people are very skeptical or scared of, hey, what are the risks involved in using AI? So we'll touch on that too towards the end of the presentation. So just to kick us off, we have some AI applications. As I mentioned, ChatGPT is the one that we're going to be focusing on today. And there are some limits to the prompts in the free version. If you want to not have any limitations, I believe the ChatGPT Plus is what they're calling it now, is $20 a month. CoPilot is Microsoft's version of AI, which you could use, and also Gemini. Google has to be in the race and have their version as well. So Gemini is that AI application. And also, just to point out, all of these bullet points and suggestions are in one of the handouts that Alicia will be emailing you after the presentation, so you don't have to write all these down. When it comes to actual resume builders using artificial intelligence, I put 5 down here. I've done this presentation several times, and all the way back into 2024. And so I did a more recent search to find some of the top resume builders. So there you have careerflow.ai, Zeti, Kick Resume, Resume Genius, and Resume IO. And just kind of, again, all this information is in the handout, but it tells you how much is free and, whether they're extensive with a lot of customization that you can have or just a very basic. But the resume builders also have, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, they have some customization so you can just build for yourself and really customize it to what you're looking for in your job search. So we're gonna touch today. Also, I guess before we really get started into ChatGPT, I just wanted to make sure. I know a lot of people are maybe a little bit intimidated by it. Some people don't even know what AI is, but I want you to think of ChatGPT as a brain. So when we use ChatGPT, it literally takes in all of the information, all of the prompts and everything, and it's retaining this information. So when you start asking it questions and it's searching the internet and its previous search history in order to yield a result to your question. So think of it as a brain so that again, it's just going to keep yielding results based on what's on the internet and what it's been asked before. Also, as we're going through and talking about resumes, it might be important, and you guys might have heard this already throughout your job search, is the acronym ATS, which stands for Applicant Tracking System. And you might hear it in the context of how can I write a resume that beats the ATS, because ATS is basically a software system used by recruiters and companies to manage a lot of different tasks. But one of those tasks that ATS handles is the scanning and filtering of resumes. So it's using AI and algorithms and things like that to search keywords and help pick resumes, because now when we apply for jobs, there are hundreds of people that are applying, and so it's hard for recruiters to find those really good resumes. So this applicant tracking system kind of filters that for them and spits out the resumes that they want to really look at and invite to maybe do a phone screen or in for an interview. So if you hear me say ATS, or you guys might even be talking about it when we get into questions. As we talk about ATS, you'll know what that stands for. I know for a long time I was like, what is ATS? So I had to Google it myself and figure all that out a long time ago. So anyway, what we want to do here on this particular slide is just ways to improve your resume. We're going to use today AI to improve and polish your resume, not to write the entire thing. If you want to write your entire resume, you might want to consider using one of those resume builders if you don't have a resume already. But for this particular session, we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on the fact that you have an existing resume and you want to polish it. You want to incorporate some keywords into your resume to make it maybe beat that the ATS system, or even get it noticed a little bit more. So we want to make sure your resume is authentic to you and really shows your personality. So that's why recruiters say that AI should be used as a writing aid or assistant to help you kind of structure the resume. And if you have any kind of writer's block, it might help you get past that on how to phrase things, especially like your bullet points when it comes to some of your job experience. But it's not a replacement to create your whole resume. So I just wanted to kind of stress that as we start out, that this is just today's session is more about it being a writing aid for you to help polish your resume. So we're going to start in little pieces. One of my favorite sayings is you can eat an elephant if you cut it into little pieces. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to start off like sometimes at the top of a resume, you have like a summary, and that's a great place to start when it comes to revising your resume or tweaking it and polishing that. So we're going to use Chat GPT to revise small sections of your resume, starting with that summary. So here's a time where we're going to change from our slideshow into ChatGPT. Okay, so as I was saying, I went into my resume, I copied my professional summary. So here in ChatGPT, again, you can see I'm in the free version. I have clicked on starting a new chat. When you're in ChatGPT, because it remembers all of your prompts, you want to, and we'll see this as we go through today, you want to start a new chat every time you prompt for something different. If you're continuing a conversation about an existing prompt, you don't have to do that. You just kind of keep talking. And again, this is like a brain. Oftentimes, too, people say treat ChatGPT or any AI thing as another human being. So be nice to it, as say please, or help me do this or whatever. So talk to it as a human being. So I'm going to even type in, please help me refine my professional. You guys will realize that I'm a horrible typist too. Summary in my resume. And I'm going to just hit the enter button. So it's thinking about it already. It's probably even going to say, hey, we can, if you just send it to me, we can do it. So I'm pasting in my summary. And now I've hit enter on my keyboard. So it's giving me actually several options to choose from. So it's a polished version. Maybe they've all made it a little bit more concise. Here's one with more executive. So if I didn't like any of this, if you want, it said I can tailor this to a specific job description or rewrite it for you. So you can continue chatting with it. But if I like something, I really kind of like this polished version. I'm going to highlight this and click copy. And again, I can't stress this enough. You always, always, always want to read through and make sure that it sounds authentic to you. I'm going to go back to my resume. And a neat thing is that I've learned too in this paste option is to keep the formatting or merge formatting is what you want to select so it doesn't change the font that's already in your resume. So I'm going to paste that. And now what I do, one of the tips that I have to help you make it sound authentic to you is to actually read it out loud. If you stumble across any words as you're reading, or you read something and you're like, I would never say that, well, then you don't want to use it because, again, your resume is a reflection of you. It's going to come out like when you have an interview, you want it to sound the same, right? If somebody you're interviewing with, if your resume sounds one way and the language that you're using, verbiage that you're using, and then you don't use that same verbiage in an interview, that's going to cause a little bit of suspicion. So you want it to sound authentic to you. So now I'm going to go through and say dedicated learning and development consultant with extensive experience in instructional design, curriculum development, and creating e-learning and micro-learning content. Skilled in partnering with clients and cross-functional teams to achieve training and communication goals that drive productivity and talent development. So far, so good. Proven track record of designing engaging learning experiences and delivering effective results-oriented training solutions. So that really kind of rolled off my tongue pretty nicely. There's no words that I see that I really want to change or whatever, but I could, even if I didn't want to say extensive experience, or I could add to the list of skills. Um, I could change any of these words to sound more authentic to me. I actually kind of like this one, so I'm not going to change anything. But again, I strongly suggest that if you stumble across any words, that you kind of stop and take pause, and consider making a change to that. So that's just one area with the professional summary that you can use to change your resume. We'll go in just a few minutes to maybe even changing some of the bullet points. But there was one thing that I wanted to talk about too. And again, gonna switch gears on you back to the PowerPoint. So give me just a second to get back to that. So here we're doing the keywords. So, in order to find keywords, you can actually use a job description that you're interested in applying for. And if you're applying for the same types of jobs kind of over and over again, this will help give you a list of keywords, whether you want to use it in your resume or cover letters. This is a great way to get those keywords. So again, give me just a second. I'm going to step out of this uh, presentation so I can copy and paste this. And Alicia will give you a copy of my slides so you have this prompt if you want it. But I'm actually going to copy it and I'm going to go into ChatGPT. We're starting a new chat because this is something different than we did before. So I'm going to say a new chat. I'm going to paste this, what I just copied, and it's asking for a job description. So here I'm going to go into a job description that I found on Indeed, and here's a position summary, but I'm going to just highlight the responsibilities here. And this is how we get the keywords: required skills, preferred skills. You could probably copy in the experience, but I think I'm just going to copy this part. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, review the job description for, insert the title. This is for senior talent specialist. And then provide the keywords. Here's the start of the description you see here. Paste the job description. Oops. I don't know why that widget popped up. So start of job description. It's here. I'm going to paste that. End of job description. So here I'm pasting in. I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. So now it has the full job description. It's thinking about it. I don't know why it thinks it's an image, but anyway. So here are some relevant keywords and phrases for this. So it's giving me some very specific keywords that I could use, again, whether this is in your resume or in your cover letters. Quite frankly, I would just kind of copy and paste this or print the screen to get these keywords and just have them so that you can continue using them on and off throughout your job seeking time period, because keywords are just always really relevant to use, and they're really good too to kind of review before you go in for an interview, kind of looking at specific buzzwords for your particular industry. So I realize I'm in training and development, but these are some of the words then that I might want to consider merging into my resume, my cover letters. Again, just copy and paste it into a Word document and save it on your computer. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our presentation, stepping away, from ChatGPT. So give me just a second. There we go. And we talked about the professional summary. We just did the job description. So I can't stress this enough too. Just always, always review what it provides and refine prompts if you need it to yield some different results if it didn't quite understand what you were looking for. But again, going back to the fact that ChatGPT is just kind of a brain, right? And it's yielding results based on what it has in its brain. If it doesn't understand your industry or it hasn't had a lot of exposure to your industry, it might not catch all the buzzwords that are appropriate to use. That's why you really need to review it, make it authentic to you, let it show your personality, but also make sure that industry terms that you need to be using in your resume and your cover letters are there. So this is, let me do one more thing as it relates to bullets in a resume. So again, another quick change to our resume, and can get my mouse, doesn't like, here we go. So I can take any of my bullets, just like the summary, and do a copy here and go into ChatGPT. Again, I'd be starting a new chat, but I can say, please help me refine these bullets for my resume as a training development professional. So then I'm going to send it so it knows what I'm getting ready to paste in. And now I have pasted that, and here are some refined bullets. Again, would want to read through everything. It even tells you at the end of most prompts, it's like, hey, can tailor this for a specific job description, make them more metrics driven. I do some work for a nonprofit, or I work for a nonprofit in addition to owning my own business. And I've gotten very familiar and told it that I need it to be warm and inviting and heartwarming, because in a nonprofit world, we're trying to, get people to empathize with us and have that heartfelt approach. So then I will ask it, hey, can you make it a little warmer for me? So you can ask ChatGPT, again, treat it like a friend and another person, and say, hey, I kind of need this to be tweaked a little bit, or I want this kind of tone to the words. So you can really ask it anything. So I think this is a good time, Alicia and Hannah, to maybe stop and kind of open up for questions before we get too far down the road and we transition to cover letters. Okay.
So Marcelo, and hi, Marcelo, Linda S., and Daniel S. Those are the three people who have questions. So Marcelo, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. I just wanted to ask a question. We were told to use another app which is called jobscan.co, which helps to
Okay. Yep.
track the ATS, the keywords. So I was wondering if that tool complements to the AI tools you mentioned, or it replaces it, or how would you
The way
consider?
that I understand JobScan is it's another type of resume builder. So using AI for that reason. So I think you can upload in JobScan, just like some of the other resume builders, you can upload an existing resume and then ask it to refine it for you. So yes, I've heard about JobScan, and it is another one that can be used.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Marcello.
Okay, Linda.
Hi. I was wondering what you were using for your resume, as in, like, what application? Are you using Word, and is it in doc form, PDF
Yes.
form? And also, are you changing it section by section, which I think somebody had responded to that. Yes, you are. So
Yeah.
appreciate your help.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I suggest doing it in Word first. A lot of times when they do suggest, recruiters suggest that when you're applying for the job, once you have your resume that you want to submit for a particular job that you're applying for, I would take it from a Word document and save it as a PDF and convert it. That way, no information can be changed. um, I don't know if it makes a difference in an applicant tracking system, but I always change or save my resume as a PDF once I've manipulated it in Word. And I think a lot of the resume builders allow you to export. Once you put your resume in and it's refined, it allows you to export as a Word document or PDF.
So,
And I
it,
do go through and do it section by section.
but in ChatGPT, are you putting it in Word format?
Um,
Do your copy?
oh, you just copy and paste. I could copy and paste my whole resume. You can also, there are some um, other applications. I don't know that ChatGPT is like this, where you can actually insert a whole image, but Chat GPT is just the wording. It's like typing on a Word document or whatever, what I'm doing.
Right.
I know
So
you guys, I'm not sharing my screen right now, but when you go into Chat GPT, you're just copying and pasting something in. So I could copy my whole resume and put it in there.
right. I guess it's important not to paste an image, which would be a PDF. So
Yeah.
you're saying you need to paste
I think,
real text. Got
yeah, I think it reads a document, Word doc better
Yeah.
than a PDF.
The tools will read an image as
Oh,
well.
okay. Yeah. I have seen, I was just playing around one time and uploaded an image and said, hey, what would, like my dog, I was like, what would a person look like if you converted my image of my dog into a person? What would it look like? So I have done images before, but that's not
Yeah.
related to this topic.
To a resume and cover letter, 100%. Thank you.
Right.
So Daniel asked, and then we had two more people ask questions. So Priya and then Antoinette. So Daniel.
Yeah, thank you. So I've been using ChatGPT pretty extensively for my resumes and cover letters, and I'll feed it information about, uh, my career preparation, my career experience, things like that. I'll put in my existing resume, and I'll ask for improvements. And the result is much better than I could have done myself. And I'm very happy. And it appears to me to be in a very authentic voice. So in most cases, I'll just copy and paste it in
Right.
with just a few alterations. But I am concerned that employers, or at least their ATS, are going to flag these as too heavily reliant on AI. So I don't have a lot of data points to confirm whether or not that's true. But what are you hearing about relying too much on AI when it comes to these things?
Yeah, they say that there might be something integrated then with ATS that recognizes something that's been generated by AI. When I was doing research for this presentation and kind of searching about some current information, I did come across two things. One was the authenticity, is that, there were some concerns that people that are using AI, it maybe tends to inflate the qualifications or kind of fabricate experience or make it more maybe than it really is. And so then when you get in for your interview, if that's maybe not necessarily a good thing, if it seems to overinflate you, is that you don't measure up then when you go into your interview and they're really talking to you about your experience and asking you, especially the situational kinds of questions. So that authenticity is one concern that recruiters have, and also just general skepticism that again, Daniel, if you're reading it and it sounds good and authentic and has a little bit of personality and embraces your personality and is a good reflection of that, then I think you could keep it. But a lot of times, too, I've heard them say that they're kind of skeptical that when people copy and paste, it doesn't reflect their personality. But it sounds like maybe the prompts that you're using or whatever, you said you were using ChatGPT, that maybe it really understands you and is getting kind of used to your prompts, and
Yeah.
that's kind of come out.
So I
So,
would just want to add that I've also heard the same thing, that similar to like for schools and for colleges, there are platforms and tools that they're using now to screen out for things that are AI generated, right? So the best thing to do, as Holly said, is you need to. I wouldn't ever just copy and paste. I would copy and paste, but I wouldn't ever just leave it as it is.
right.
Change it up a little bit. So Daniel, yours is probably reflecting your personality and your tone and manner because you're using a lot. But for everyone, and that's what happens for everybody else, is that it gets used to your way of speaking. So when you're first starting to use it, definitely you want to be doing some heavy editing, okay? And then you might need to do less editing as you continue using it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does get to know you, just like Elisa's saying. It
Yeah.
gets to know your prompts and everything like that. And then especially once you're in the workplace and you're in an enterprise system, like if everybody in a workplace is using CoPilot, and we'll talk about this when we get to security too, but it's an enterprise. It's even more secure, so you can start personalizing things and it understands you even better.
So two more people. So Priya and Antoinette, and then we'll get back to the presentation. Priya?
Okay.
Yes. Hi, Howley. Thanks again for your presentation. I love this interactive feel of this webinar. So my quick question is something that you're not covered yet. Probably you plan to cover it later. But how do you use the relevant keywords and transferable skills as a career changer to develop good bullets on a resume? In my case, it's very interesting. So I tend to be very pessimistic in that I think I'm not done enough. And I know that ChatGPT tends to be over optimistic in the way it presents the bullets. So any suggestions on how I can use it, to kind of have that initial prompt of this is what could be achieved to help me update my resume?
So if I understand you correctly, you're wanting to understand how to use keywords a little bit more.
So, for
And
example, if I've already worked in an industry and I'm using a job description to optimize my resume, so a lot of the suggestions you have shared is very helpful. But say I
Mhm.
have worked in a different industry. For example, I've done healthcare and project management, and now I'm doing a
Mhm.
clinical trial industry. So I do have a lot
Yeah.
of transferable skills, but how do I kind of use or come up with good AI prompts to give me a good idea of how I can use it as a career changer, right? Of showing you have relevant skills without overstating that you have it, but just as an initial prompt of this is what can be achieved so somebody else
Right.
can see it, right? They can
Right.
see
Well,
the
it's going to be,
facts.
yes, exactly. It's going to be even more important for you to review
Mm-hmm,
the result yields when you do a prompt.
mm-hmm,
But because we treat ChatGPT very similar to a conversation that we're having with another person, is I would even put in some of your information from a different industry and
mm-hmm,
say, how is this transferable to how is my
mm-hmm,
healthcare experience transferable to now this other industry that I'm starting to seek? And, you know, maybe put in some of your bullet points on your resume or something and say, how is this transferable? Or you could put in a job description and say, I have experience in healthcare and you might have to get really specific, or you may just have to keep the conversation going more than what I've been demonstrating today,
Mm-hmm.
and say, once it yields a result, then you need to keep having the conversation. How does this how would this be a little bit different in this particular industry? Or how could I show this as a transferable skill? Or how would I explain it in an interview? Or just treat it like a person and have that conversation back and forth with it.
Yeah, so I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to add in here that I think that this was an excellent question, Priya. And so for
Yeah.
everybody else, for the larger group, okay? So if you are a marketer and you marketer for cookies, and then you're applying for a job, a marketer of chips, okay? You want to use, if you're using ChatGPT the way that Holly said, and you're just using, the job description in your resume, it's probably going to be pretty straightforward, and then you just want to edit it a bit. If you're using the example that Priya is using, where, and many of us are in that situation now, where we're not going to be applying only for things that are exactly related to what we've done previously. It could be more of a parallel. It could be more of a stretch using skills that were buried a little bit late, earlier in our resume. That's what Holly is saying, which is so, so smart to do, is don't use the ChatGPT as you put the job description and give me the results for my resume. Do those interim steps and ask the ChatGPT or any other AI using the questions to get you to what are those transferable skills and how can I apply them? Because otherwise it's going to be a disconnect of overpromising of skills that you don't really have. So I
Right.
love that question, and how you can use ChatGPT, not just put in this, get that, but to learn in the middle before you get your final result.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Great points.
awesome question. And a lot of people here on this call are facing that situation. So
Right.
it's really good. Okay, Antoinette, and then we'll go back to the presentation. Is
Uh,
your question?
question has already been answered in chat.
Okay.
So, and thank you for pronouncing my name correctly.
I'm glad I did. For someone I'm glad I did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Holly, back to you.
Okay, great. Because we're going to now make a transition to talking a little bit about cover letters. If I can get everything, there we go, to share, and we'll go back to the screen and share, and back even to PowerPoint. Okay, here we go. So now we can transition into cover letters from writing resumes and using ChatGPT to help us with our resumes. Now we're also going to do cover letters. In the resume builders that I mentioned and that you'll get in the handout after this session, many of those have another section or another service where you can generate cover letters as well. Some of them provide examples by industry. Some of them even help have templates. So you can go into some of those resume builders and look at it. For me personally, I again took mine kind of just like my resume, little bits and pieces at a time, little paragraphs at a time. But I created an overall template because for efficiency and time, I found when I was writing my cover letters that I usually started the same way. You'll see on screen, I have my second paragraph, which is really just kind of an overarching um, paragraph about my experience. And then some of the ones at the end is, this is how I would follow up, or this is why I'm excited to interview with you, or would like an interview, and this is how you contact me. So you can see how I've kind of created a template that I would use over and over again. And you can use AI to go through and and just like I did my resume, take one particular paragraph and put it into ChatGPT and see what it would yield for you. So, or how it would refine it. So we can do that and take a step away here from, again, I'm going to change and go back into ChatGPT. Actually, I'm going to go into, hopefully you guys are seeing my my cover letter, but even if I wanted to take one of my paragraphs, copy it, again, copy, we go back into ChatGPT, we're going to start a new chat and say, please help me refine this paragraph for a cover letter. So it's going to say, hey, send me the paragraph and I'll be happy to help you. So I'm going to send that. So it says, of course. So here's my paragraph that I put in there, kind of a refined version. So it's keeping general understanding, but it's tweaking, that again, my tip, read it out loud. Throughout my career, I've consistently applied strong project management abilities, precise attention to detail, and clear, effective communication. These strengths have been instrumental in my success as both a meeting professional and in my current role as a training and development consultant, enabling me to deliver high quality outcomes and support organizational goals. So, for the most part, I like it. I like the precise attention. I do really like attention to detail. It says precise attention to detail, but I don't know if precise it has to be there for me. Like, so again, I'm just gonna would copy and paste this back into my my cover letter, again, merging the formatting so that it stays and keeps all my fonts and the size of my fonts and everything like that. But maybe I would just go through and, just take some of those words out and make it my own. So once you get the template down, then that's great. Again, this is just a Word document that I have that I pull up each and every time, so that I have it. And again, I make some little tweaks here and there. You can see where I have space for to incorporate the title and the company name so that I don't forget anything either. So I kind of kept those placeholders there, even in my template. So once we have the template done, you can then go in and start writing other paragraphs based on a job description. You would, insert some additional paragraphs about that particular job or that particular role and how you're suited for it. So the other thing that I do is I keep another Word document, and this is just content for cover letters. So if I'm applying for something that's maybe more salesy or has a sales component or has a sales training component, I can go in, I have it labeled sales, and maybe if this job has sales training as a component, I'm going to copy this. Again, all of these paragraphs that I have to insert into my template, I have put into ChatGPT, refined those, and then now I'm just going to go in and I go and insert a paragraph, and I'm going to just start pasting. So again, using ChatGPT to create all these contents for different job descriptions. I don't know about you, but I save all of my cover letters on my laptop. And so that way, if I'm applying for a job that's similar to something else that I've done before, and I've already gone through ChatGPT and I've created it. Sometimes I just pull up a cover letter and revise it, change the titles and things like that, and use that all over again. But I think the nice thing about having these interchangeable paragraphs already kind of written out and I've already used it for with ChatGPT. So again, I could copy and go into chat, again, new chat. So help me refine this paragraph for my cover. I'm going to just paste it. So, and have it yield, here's some different versions. I love the fact that it gives me different versions to select from. When I was doing this a couple of years ago, and maybe that's just another enhancement to this free version, you literally just yielded one thing. Now it's kind of, because we're in a job seeking role, I think it's providing us with different tones that we might want to use based on what we're looking for. Again, more dynamic. You could have this one's, an enhanced version with more impact and results oriented. So, or just something concise. So again, you would read through it, make it authentic to you, reflect your personality and words. My top tip is to read it out loud and find those words that you stumble across that you might not necessarily use when you're in an interview also, and change out those words when you're pasting it back into your template. So we're going to step away and go back to our PowerPoint for just a second, kind of catch up to where we need to be here. So we've talked here about the template, and then just using AI to improve or polish that. Generic terms, again, if AI and ChatGPT isn't familiar with their industry, it may use very generic kind of terms. That's another indicator that you've been using AI. You want to make sure that you're using your industry buzzwords and keywords even in your cover letters. And I've also had a question come up too, is like, well, should you write a cover letter for every job that you apply for? My answer to that is yes. Most applications, when you're completing it, have a field where you can upload. And again, I always change my Word document letter into a PDF and upload it. That way, no changes could be made to anything before, the final recruiter gets to it or whatever. But I always upload it. It just shows the extra effort. And again, lets your personality come through and why you really are perfect for the role and want to be considered for this position. So again, just we touched on this already, is using AI to write those interchangeable paragraphs that you might use over and over and over again when in your cover letters, and just kind of changing them out and adding them to your template. Just think that streamlined the process. I could spend, before, when I was writing things and really looking at a job description, and I'm going to give you another tip here in just a minute, is pulling out keywords and trying to incorporate them into my cover letters. So just would take out, an hour writing one cover letter, and I trimmed at least 15 minutes off by using the template with the interchangeable paragraphs, and just trying to use that with ChatGPT and writing everything. So maybe before I get into the security of things, Elisa, I'm going to stop sharing, and maybe we open up Hannah again for some questions about cover letters.
So Catherine, Maggie, Gila, and Ira.
So, Catherine?
Well, my question for you is, what if in an interview environment you have the interview with the hiring manager, and the hiring manager, says point blank, I don't like all of these AI tools and how they impact the cover letters and the resumes. They all sound the same, and and everybody's guilty of using it. What would you say
Yeah.
to that?
Wow, that is a good question. I don't know. I would say, I think I would be honest and say, I didn't use it to write my whole cover letter or my resume, but I did use it to refine certain parts of it, because I don't think I would say that I didn't use it and fib, because I think it's important for them to know that you're kind of abreast of technology and you're embracing something new, because AI really is quite intimidating for a lot of people in general. And so the fact that it didn't intimidate you and that you're trying to embrace it and use it a little bit, I think would work to your advantage. But I, would highly stress that you didn't use it for your whole resume or your cover letter, and that you tried to, make your personality shine through and your
Right.
qualifications.
Right, I can understand that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
reason why I'm asking is because, yeah, that was a real question, and it really put me on the spot in that situation. And I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's like you have to deal with this question every single time you go into an interview with a hiring manager who dislikes and even detests the whole AI environment in the job search.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll tell you, I'll be honest, I have used AI to write cover letters because I was with an outplacement agency who was touting
Right.
this AI. As soon as it came out, it rolled out. Okay, now just go ahead and use your AI tool to write all your cover letters, and you'll sound perfect every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here
Well,
you
and
go into the interview, and they say, "Well, we don't like when candidates use AI."
yeah. Well, and did they explain why? I mean, can you kind of use that
Well,
in the
yeah,
future
I
as
think it was
feedback
because,
almost,
I think it was because all the letters look alike. They all sound alike.
right?
They're using the same words, the same buzzwords. And
Right.
you can't tell the excellent candidates from the, okay, so the
Right.
good or the so-so candidates.
Right. Well, I find that interesting too, because I mean, again, in the industry and when you have conversations, and I don't know if there's anybody that's been in HR and recruiting that's on this webinar, but a lot of times cover letters specifically don't even get read. Like, so that's why I always get the question, should you even write one? I personally say yes to that, because I think it just shows extra effort, and the fact that you're that engaged in getting the position. Sarah, I see you shaking your head too. So feel free to chime in as from an HR perspective, but I'm not even sure the cover letters get read. So I don't know.
Having worked in HR on the recruitment side, it's going to depend on who's looking at the resumes. I've had hiring managers say, I don't read them. And
Yeah.
I know that to me, it looks like someone made the effort. It's going to depend on the industry, as someone probably said in a previous or somewhere, but like in academia, you would be expected probably, in certain industries to have a cover letter. But also keep in mind, people are getting inundated with resumes, so you don't want it. Someone was asking about keep it short, and I would agree with that. But I think it does show that you took the time. A lot of times you see cover letters where it has the wrong industry, the wrong name of the company you're applying, and you're like,
Yeah.
you're no attention to detail there, so
Yes.
my 2 cents, so to speak.
Great. Thanks for chiming in, Sarah. Appreciate it. And who was after Catherine?
We have Peggy, Gila, and then Ira.
Okay.
This is Peggy. I'm just seeing that the free version, and I think you said it and I might have missed it, is sufficient for these type of tasks. I think it's not that expensive, but I also had heard 5 when they first released it, had a lot of issues. Have they worked out the bugs? Because people were not happy with it. So,
Oh, I hadn't heard that about the new version.
okay.
Um,
I'm
and
just repeating what I hear.
yeah, and it could be that some people were so used to what I did read about 5 was that after a certain number of prompts, again, it has limited capability because they want you to buy the ChatGPT Plus for $20 a month. Is that it goes into like a smaller brain, or they call it a ChatGPT 5 Mini, or Mini 5, where it is the smaller brain, so it might not yield once you've surpassed your limit of prompts. It goes into a smaller capacity. So maybe that's what people didn't like about it, is it didn't yield as good a replies after the limit was surpassed.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I just that letter looks very long to me. It was a very good letter. I like a lot of the stuff in it, but I was told that you're supposed to keep them short and concise and attention grabbing, and that seems
Yeah.
like I try to keep it max to like 2 paragraphs. Am I
Oh,
wrong
okay.
in my thinking or what people are telling me? And also, chat gives me, when I ask it, I use the job description, I upload it, and I say, make my cover letter work for this job description. And it always does,
Yeah.
dear hiring manager, you have to whom it may concern. I don't know if that's a big deal or not. And it also always does it like an old school letter where it puts the address and like, my name and my
Oh,
address and the date and all this information. I always take it off because I think it just looks,
yeah.
I
That's
don't know.
very formal to
And
do it
old
that way.
school. I
Yeah.
don't want to
Yeah.
look like I'm writing a, airmail letter.
Exactly. So I always like opening with how I found the job description or how I found the lead. And maybe you don't even need to do that. I mean, you just heard about it and maybe that paragraph is not necessarily needed. But I mean, I like your idea of keeping it concise, but I would at least, again, if I had my opening paragraph, how I heard about it, just my overview of me, I would at least put one or two, at least, I mean, one paragraph that specifically ties into the job that you're applying for. And then, again, how to reach out to you or whatever, what is easiest, or why you, if even if you didn't do that, because obviously they have your contact information on the resume, why you feel that you're a good fit for the position. So I mean, at most, I guess maybe I'm old school too. I would at least have 3 paragraphs.
Okay, thanks.
Again, Sarah, if you have any comments about that, feel free to chime in. But
I don't think
Okay,
those
I
are
think
set
we're
rules.
yeah, okay,
okay. I think we're just going to go to Ira and then we'll go back to the presentation, then open up to all the rest of the questions. Okay. So Ira,
great.
did you have your question still?
Sure, yeah, it's just kind of really basic, and this has been a great session, by the way. You cited you've been talking a lot about ChatGPT and mentioned a couple of the other big ones. Any thoughts on other ones? Because a lot of it is just sort of experimenting with different platforms to see which works best for you. But regarding resumes and cover letters, I was thinking about Claude and Perplexity. Are
Uh-huh.
those, do you know much about those for these purposes?
Yeah, I have heard about Perplexity, and I went in, I it's funny, I even have it on a little notepad. I put Perplexity and I marked through it. I think it was I think the reason that I disqualified it from putting it on that list was there was something about it, and I can't remember off the top of my head, that it was geared more towards something specific, like I don't know what it was. I don't want to misspeak, but for whatever reason, I kind of disqualified it because of, like, it seemed like it was very specific about what it would yield and what it's looking for. Like there's some platforms that are specifically for, images and helping graphic designers and things like that. So that's why I used some of the ones like ChatGPT, CoPilot, Gemini, because those are just more broad and, not industry specific or anything like that. So
Okay,
I'd
thanks.
have to Google Perplexity again and read about it to figure why I disqualified it from that list.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's
Some-
move back to the presentation and
Okay, great. So I want to steer away now, moving from the cover letters. I want to talk a little bit about risks, and then I'm going to give you one other tip, and somebody kind of touched on it earlier too, but one other tip that you can try in preparing for interviews, taking a step away from the resumes and cover letters, but how do you go to the next step? So really the security of AI, what are the risks? For this particular, when you're just looking at resumes and writing cover letters, it's really more about data privacy. You could get into a little bit of plagiarism or copyright infringement, but most of the time, it's all going to be about privacy. So when you're putting something into ChatGPT, copying and pasting anything, please, 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 please avoid sharing any personal information with AI. And I personally would even take that a step farther if you're using a resume builder and you're uploading your existing resume, change your name, change your address, put in gobbledygoo, like, the Latin phrases that you see sometimes when you're building a website or something like that. I would not put any personal information. That's just me. But again, it's a brain, it's storing all this information, and you definitely don't want something that you've put in to be spit out for somebody else's reply. So I would not put any personal information in there. I don't mean to scare anybody, but Alyssa and I were even talking about the fact that how our phones listen to us, and then all of a sudden you see something on Facebook or whatever. I guess maybe I'm just skeptical or scaredy cat. So I really avoid doing anything personal. Again, now that I'm working in a full-time role, and what I have heard, and this is just I guess a small tip, is that once you do start working for a company that has an enterprise-wide Microsoft account, your CoPilot for your Microsoft account is private to that enterprise that has bought the subscription for all of its employees. So you can start creating more of a relationship or sharing a little bit more personal information, because it's being contained within that membership or that subscription. But when you're just out like we are looking for job opportunities or whatever, please don't share personal information. I think that's just kind of a best practice. So here's the bonus in using AI to prep for interviews. And I think it was actually one of these presentations that Alyssa asked me to do, and somebody brought this up and I kind of took it and ran with it. But is and I'm sorry, I think the information on here, I didn't change the slide. I apologize. I copied something and then didn't change the verbiage on there. But using to prep for an interview is taking a job description, putting it into ChatGPT and say, what questions might a recruiter ask me if I'm interviewing for this, or when I interview for this position? And ChatGPT will spit out a list of questions, and then you can copy those questions and put them back in and say, how might I answer these? Just again, you know how you would answer it for yourself, but you might just see some additional tips or words or something like that in the answers that you might want to incorporate into your interview. So I'm gonna go into ChatGPT really quickly and kind of show you what I'm talking about. So if I can get my mouse to cooperate with me. We're gonna go in and start a new chat. Again, I have this job description already, so I'm just going to copy it again. And in ChatGPT, I'm going to say, for this job description, what questions might a recruiter ask me in an interview? And now I'm going to paste and send it in. See, it waits for me away here. So now I'm sending in. So based on the job description, here are detailed list of interview questions. So here we have all these questions and it's still spitting them out. So maybe you want to focus on a particular area, not the whole thing, but you could take a certain, a certain list of questions, or if you want, you can do all of them. But here, I'll just copy these particular ones just because in the interest of time. But again, I could say, how would I answer these questions? So it said, hey, send me the questions. So here it's giving me some sample answers. So again, you probably know what you would say to some of those questions. I mean, and that's what I would encourage is once it does give you questions, maybe jot some notes down and think about your answers first, and then put the questions in and read through some of these and see where there might be some gaps or maybe even wording or keywords. Again, that keyword list that you copied and pasted at the beginning of the presentation, maybe you want to incorporate some of those into your responses for the session.
So Holly, can we take it? Holly, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Keep it up. I just want to ask if you could take it a step further. Would ChatGPT recognize? It answered my question. No, keep going up. I literally was just going to say, will ChatGPT give it to me in a star format? And it does anyhow.
Oh, okay. Structure. Yep.
Like, no.
Yep. Situation, action. Yeah.
You didn't ask them. You didn't ask ChatGPT for that, did you?
No, I didn't. And it only did it for that one. Oh, no, it did it for a couple. So hopefully everybody knows what STAR is, but if you don't, in an interview, you respond by talking about a situation, the task that you were asked to perform, the action and result. So that's why it's yielding, some of that in their answers is that because that's how interviewers typically like you to answer, is if you can acknowledge and show a specific situation and talk about the results of that situation. So
this is perfect. I mean, I was going to ask you if you have to further ask a prompt for STAR. And you don't. I mean,
well, if it didn't, we could definitely do that.
And if it didn't, so if when you guys put that in, this is such a valuable tool in terms of prepping for interviews, and you just have to really do it. Maybe have your base case, and then for each interview at different places, you can adjust your stories. But I always encourage my clients to have their stories for different situations, and having them in the STAR format is really, really important. And this is terrific, and it happens so quick. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here,
yeah.
Oops. Guess it would be helpful if I had the right acronym. So here I'm going to paste the questions again. I mean, it'll yield the same results, but yeah, I mean, Oh, it even went a step further. It gave my task. I definitely have to make sure and read through the tasks because that's the situation, you know. So yeah, for sure. There it did. So that's really great. But I loved, again, it was from one of my presentations, actually, a participant said, "This is what I do." And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. I had never
Yes.
really thought about that. Um, so it was fabulous that they did that. So, just to kind of wrap things up in the interest of time, here are some resources. These are in the handout that you'll get from Elisa in your email, but just some articles that you guys might want to read through. Also, talking about some of those resume builders, and then also a list of prompts. She has a whole separate article that I found that gives you a really good list of prompts to put into ChatGPT and utilize too.
Holly, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and practical guidance and tutorials and showing us how to use ChatGPT. It was extremely invaluable. So we want to thank you very much. And on behalf of Project M and the Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West, and of course, JVS of Greater Metro West, we want to thank you. And I hope to see everybody else next time.